You know what today was? I can tell you what today was. Today was a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Every day is a beautiful day in the neighborhood. But today was even more of a beautiful day in the neighborhood. You know why? Today, I went to see It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. For those of you who don't know what movie that is, it is a movie with Tom Hanks about Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers is more known as Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And his song is, "It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, won't you be mine?" Now, when I was younger, back in the day, as my mom loves to remind me, I would race home from school every day to watch Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers was a man who had a show that tried to inspire kids to be better people. Not only kids, but adults, because that show was not just for kids, but it was for adults. In the time of racial strife, he had a black character on the show. He had all sorts of stuff just to try and make people think and make things wonderful, make kids, deal with serious issues like death, divorce, anything and everything. And they did it in a fashion where, yes, they talked about it, but it would make you think, it'd make you understand, and it wasn't condescending. So when I found out that they were doing a movie about him, I was interested. And then I found out that Tom Hanks was playing the character. Knowing what I've heard about Tom Hanks, he was the only person who could actually play this character. Because Mr. Rogers, from what I've heard, was a just as wonderful a person off screen as he was on, which is the same thing for Tom Hanks. So, this movie was wonderfully done. The movie is done pretty much in the style of his show. Look one of them up on YouTube, and you'll find out what I'm talking about. It starts out with the same type of opening that his show has every show. Coming in through the little neighborhood. And yes, the neighborhood is fake. That they never tried to, say otherwise. And then come into his house, and it's him coming into his house, switching out of his jacket, putting on a sweater, and just for knowledge, in case anyone doesn't know, every single sweater he wore on the show, his mom knitted for him. Switches out his work shoes for tennis shoes as he's singing his song, and then moves on to the topic of the day. In the movie, it is a board with, a bunch of doors on it. He says, this is a picture frame. What's behind this one? It's Lady Elaine, character from the show. King Friday the 13th, character from the show. And I want to introduce you to a new friend. Everybody Mr. Rogers knew was a friend, right? He opens it up and says, this is, and I can't remember the character's name, this is, boom. He's had a bad day. This, aside from Mr. Rogers, is the central character of this show, of the movie. A man who we find out later is a writer for Vanity Fair, who is to do a 400-word puff piece on American heroes. Right. He's an investigative reporter for Esquire magazine who is estranged from his father. He's in a mixed marriage with a wonderful woman who is or was a lawyer, but she stays home with her new child because he's always off doing these investigative reports, and he's never around to help raise the kid, and she distrusts daycare. Right. His boss sends him off to do a puff piece on Mr. Rogers for Heroes. Now, this movie is done in the style of Mr. Rogers because every transition shows the different cities, but it's done in the style of Mr. Rogers with the little fake pieces of the cities. And, that is done intentionally. And during the process of this movie, the guy who is a cynic, the guy who has had a really rough life, estranged from his father, mother died when he was young, which causes him to be very cynical, goes to interview a man who is, for the most part, what he refers to at some point as a saint. And he thinks it's fake. During the movie, it reveals the true Mr. Rogers, who isn't much different from the person on screen. And that, revealing that character, helps change the investigative reporter. There's a scene, he says, what is it like to be Fred Rogers? And he says, what is it like to be Mr. Rogers? As if there was a differentiation. And Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers gently, kindly, wonderfully makes him realize that there's not much of a difference. That, yes, Fred Rogers isn't perfect. He has to work at what he is, but so does everyone else. But everyone is an individual. Everyone is wonderful in their own way. This movie was inspirational. This movie was awesome. This movie was wonderful. I sat here and teared up during some of that parts of the movie. And at the end, every single person in the theater stood and cheered. Because that is how much of an inspirational movie this was. And it sort of made you want to work at being a better person. And when I came home, I was like, did Tom Hanks get an Oscar nomination for this movie? Because I think the nominations were just revealed the last couple of days. And if he didn't, I would have been pissed. But it was. He was nominated for Best Actor. First time in like 20 years. Even if you aren't an old fogey like me, who watched that show every day when he came home, you need to go and watch that movie because it was exceptionally done. It was an incredible movie. you still need to watch it. All right. It will make you want to go back and watch his shows and realize what a great person this one person was, and it makes you want to be a little bit of a better person, or a lot, depending on what type of person you are. I am going to give this movie a 4.5 out of 5. 4.75 out of 5. 4.75 out of 5. It was incredible. It was a great movie. Watch it. Enjoy it. Do what that movie makes you feel to do, because unless you're an inhuman bastard, that movie makes you want to be a better person. Alright? Watch it. Buy the DVD, buy the Blu-ray, just enjoy it, because it was a great movie.